Good morning, y'all. Thank you so much, Lisette. Thank you, Councilwoman Jordan. Thank you so much to Monica, dear friend, and thank you to all of you all for being here. We have some incredible company, and I'm really honored to be sharing this announcement with you all, in this space in particular. My name is Alexis Rodgers, and I am running for state senate, and I chose Diversity Richmond intentionally. Not only because I really respect and admire Lisette's leadership here and knew I could text her and ask for the access to the space, but y'all know about a month ago we were in this space, many of us, organizing a historic firehouse primary. It was under unprecedented circumstances. We lost a champion in Congressman McKeechin quite suddenly. I remember when I got the news, I was in Georgia actually working to re-elect Senator Warnock, and it had been a terribly long day of canvassing and organizing in Georgia, and to hit that news really, it wrecked me. And in that moment, you know, I was wrestling with what this would mean for our community, losing a giant like Congressman McKeechin, who at a young age, for me, was really a mentor and helping me understand the best way to advocate for policies at the time he was in the state senate. And moving forward from there, knowing that we had to organize a primary under 10 days notice, getting back to Richmond, hadn't seen my partner Jamie in months, and immediately having to go in to organize this firehouse primary. The only thing that gave me hope in this process was seeing how many Democrats were so damn fired up and ready to make sure they voted. And even though there were a lot of people who thought we couldn't do it, a lot of people who said this is not gonna work, because of our community, because of the people who are fired up and ready to organize, ready to roll up their sleeves and make sure that we continue to have good representation in Congress, we were able to do the impossible. We had 28,000 people show up and vote, and they voted in historic margins to send Jennifer McClellan to Congress, and I'm so excited. I hope y'all are excited too. And so this space is going to always be special to me as I think about when Jen and Tim walked in here to vote for Congress, when I think about the days and weeks of my life I spent here as a board member for Virginia Pride. Organizing Pride Festival is a volunteer effort, or was a volunteer effort when I was on the board. A dozen people who just cared about making sure that Virginia was an inclusive space would come together, think about who are the performers, who are the artists, who are the vendors, who truly represent our community, and how can we make sure that we celebrate Richmond in a real way. Y'all know that is a huge party, and as I said, I like to have a good time. But it's more than a good time, it's a statement, it's a declaration, it's a protest. It is a message that Richmond and Virginia is a place for all of us, regardless of who you are, regardless of who you love. And I can tell you as a brown person, and as a woman, and as a queer person in Richmond, in the capital of Confederacy, this has not always felt like a place that I was welcome. I grew up in Hanover County, y'all. Okay, let that settle in. Central Virginia has not always felt like a place where I could lead. Central Virginia has not always felt like a place where I could have an impact. But because of leaders like Senator McClellan, because of people like the women standing behind me, because of people in the room, this has been a place where I can serve. This has been a place where I can make a meaningful impact. And I really appreciate y'all for being a part of this journey. Right now we have a governor. I'm not even gonna say his name, y'all. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We have a governor that talks about a Virginia for all, but he means a Virginia for some. We have extremist parents who are coming after my favorite authors, like Toni Morrison, you know, coming after stories of our communities and saying we should ban those books. They're coming after kids who are just trying to be themselves in their schools, coming after teachers who are trying to support these youth, specifically trans and non-binary youth. I don't have to tell anybody in this room how many of these youth are literally every day just trying to wake up and just trying to make it to class. They don't need a governor, they don't need an elected leader that's not gonna stand up and recognize and value their dignity and their humanity. It's not the message that we should be sending to our kids. It's not the message that any caring person should be sending to our young people, but it is the fight that we find ourselves in today. We need leaders who are gonna invest in policies that see our full humanity, starting as youth, but throughout our entire lives, that see us as people who are working our best every day to keep a roof over our head, to keep food on the table for our families, to live a healthy life with freedom as we are. We know, though, that due to systemic racism and injustices in our policies, that everyone in this room has faced a different scenario as we go about our lives. And it's by design, to be honest. And it's what I think about daily as I've been an organizer, as I've been a policymaker, as I've been a leader in the Democratic Party, is how do we undo this systemic, institutionalized harm towards our communities? For the past decade, I've worked on it, right? Whether it's healthcare access, abortion care, workers' rights, trying to make college more affordable for our young people, trying to make sure that we have access to the ballot box and that we can have access to clean air and clean water. I've been doing it mostly behind the scenes, though every once in a while there's a camera in the room. It's okay. I like knocking on doors. And every time I do, I meet another family that reminds me of a family like mine. When I was growing up in Hanover, in 2008, around the time of the recession, my dad lost his job. And he worked at Circuit City, and a lot of times when I tell the story right now, the younger people in the room don't even know what that place is, right? And when my dad lost his job, it was really a wake-up moment for me, because I didn't realize how much one paycheck could really make the difference between economic security and not, right? And it hit home pretty quickly. How are we gonna pay the mortgage? How are we gonna keep the lights on? My mom picked up an extra job at the grocery store. And it really made me start paying attention to the decisions that were being made, both here in Richmond and then also in DC. Because I realized that the people that we elect to office do have an everyday difference and an impact on working families. And, you know, as I've moved forward, I always kept that in mind. As an organizer in Henrico on President Obama's re-election campaign, and Mr. Bonner is here, I'm so excited. He was on that campaign with me, and you know, I can't even tell you the number of stories that I heard from people. At that time, we were really fighting about the Affordable Care Act. And I couldn't tell you the number of stories I heard about healthcare access and economic security, and families like mine who were really concerned that DC didn't care about them. I was an organizer standing in the rain for President Obama in 2012, almost, I guess, more than 10 years ago. I moved on from there to organize students around financial aid access and campus sexual violence laws at Virginia 21. Always continuing to serve. I was actually called on by then Chief of Staff Clark Mercer to Lieutenant Governor Northam to come into his office as his policy director. And a lot of people have said, you know, Alexis, are you ready to go to the state senate? I was in the state senate at 22, okay?
Come on, tell them.
As policy director for the state government. I'm ready. I advised them on tie-break votes. We crafted a policy proposal that we finally have gotten passed called the Virginia Contraceptive Initiative that creates access for birth control for thousands of Virginians. And, you know, I've seen in those spaces what those rooms look like. I remember convening stakeholder meetings for the lieutenant governor and being asked when the policy director would arrive. I remember, you know, greeting constituents and being asked, you know, well, who's the best person to answer these questions? I get it, I know, and I'm always humble with it. People don't expect someone like me to be in leadership, and that's okay. People like you understand that my voice is important, and that's what matters, right? We can make a difference for the people that come behind me by showing that leadership can come in different shapes, sizes, ages. What matters is the heart and the heart for service and the experience to get it done. So after years of advocating inside and outside of government, I'm stepping up to lead in this new role, and I have the receipts to show that I'm ready to do it, right? Passing the Domestic Workers Bill of Rights, expanding access to health care through Medicaid expansion, making sure that we pass campus sexual violence laws, running for mayor and making sure Southside got some parks and we got the buses free. So here's the thing, y'all. And I know Councilman Jones appreciates the parks on Southside. Here's the thing, y'all. This is not going to be an easy race. It's going to be a competitive race. Democratic primaries are always difficult. And what I would say to you all, and I know some of y'all are going to be some of my most engaged volunteers, most vocal activists, I appreciate you. When people ask you, you know, why Alexis over the rest of the field, I want you to tell them that in the safest Democratic seat in the city of Richmond and across this entire Commonwealth, we need a progressive voice that's going to fight for our families. Wow. Someone who has never wavered, unlike my opponent, someone who has never wavered on access to abortion care. Someone who is ready to champion working families, fighting for paid sick leave, fighting for paid family leave. Someone who is going to, with their whole throat, say we need clean air, clean water, and we're not going to take a dime from Dominion. I'm ready to do it, y'all, and I'm ready to do it because of y'all being here to support me. Because every day, and when I get ready to change clothes and go knock on doors, I'm going to meet families who want to see a leader that's in their communities, who's caring about their issues, who's authentic as who they are, and who's going to be their voice in Richmond. So I'm ready. I hope y'all are ready. You ready? I'm glad y'all are ready. I hope you're ready to put on some canvas and shoes, knock doors with me. Y'all know I'm an organizer, so they're going to have me on the phones raising money, but I'm also going to be in these streets knocking doors. Thank you all so much for being with me.